Hello, my name is Svarup, and I will be teaching 10 classes about the Enneagram. So, what is the Enneagram? It's a very ancient method that had its roots in spirituality when humanity was simpler, when humanity was not so sophisticated and advanced, also as it is now. So, in that vision, in that transmission of the Enneagram, initially it was guiding people, seekers, to experience 9 different aspects of reality as the absolute, 9 qualities of realities as the absolute. So, reality is perfect as it is, or reality is beautiful, contains beauty, it has its own will, its own unfolding. It was all based on guiding people through experiencing different qualities of existence in a movement, in a cycle. And so originally it was a dance. It was taught as a dance and a movement in which for every point there was a movement, some steps of dance that would represent that essential quality of life. Then later on, when humanity got more complex, complicated, and yet also more intellectually advanced, 2 psychologists that were originally from South America developed a whole new concept of the Enneagram, which is how these 9 points, this movement from one point to another that corresponded to the unfolding of all the qualities in existence, how in each point we might get stuck because, for reasons that have to do a lot with our early life history, even in the womb, we have experienced a disconnection that doesn't allow us to feel, for instance, existence is perfect, or existence has its own will, or existence is beautiful. And on that disconnection, on that moment in which we lose touch with one of the essential aspects of existence, our ego starts forming around that deficiency, trying to bring in that quality, but from a point of view of separation and effort. And that's the root of the personality. So I'll explain just very simply. For instance, we are born and we are bathing in that oneness of feeling, existence is just beautiful and perfect as it is. And then the surroundings, especially through the parents, makes us feel something is wrong. Something is wrong. It's not perfect at all. There's something that doesn't work. And the tension is such because we are like torn away from that universal perception that our ego structure forms around that. We want, unconsciously, as babies and children, to bring back that quality that we perceive is missing. So we start stressing and efforting, for instance, to make everything perfect. But we can't. We can't because we are part of something larger. So our own concept of perfection is limited and encounters always a reality that is much bigger. But we stress, we don't give up, because only when we are going to get to that level of perfection, we will be able to relax. And that creates an Enneagram fixation type. For instance, in this case, the number 1, which is obsessed and focused on perfection in every possible way and fights against the larger perfection of reality because it feels it as hostile, difficult, not complete. So that's where the personality types of the Enneagram were born from, just as rooted in the attempt of our own little ego, which is, like a mosquito facing an elephant, our little ego that is trying to improve, to make existence more complete. So the personality types have many layers, and it's very interesting to find out what type you are of those different 9 types, and what is the blind spot. What is it that we strive to reach that will never be reached because we are facing a reality that is much larger than us? And how the understanding of this personality can help you in your own daily unfoldment, in your own daily actions, and also in working with people. Because suddenly you might become aware of an additional perception that you might have, whatever your skills are, that this person just cannot see that, for instance, life is perfect as it is. And that life is perfect as it is doesn't mean, oh yes, life is fine, it's perfect. No, there is an intrinsic perfection also in the apparent mistakes of life. They are part of a learning process. There's a larger perfection, but the person that you're working with or yourself might be disconnected from that. So these classes will give you tools to understand yourself better, your patterns of behavior, your difficulties, or your being preoccupied with one aspect and missing out the whole. And at the same time will help you to find a new specific language to speak with your clients if you work with people, to reach them in a place in which they can start perceiving for a moment that there's a larger reality. And that perception brings relaxation, brings more connectedness with life. So this is the basic of the Enneagram. It's understanding that the personality, the real root of the personality, is based on a misunderstanding that is coming out of a very, very early disconnection from that sense that there's a completeness in the world, and will allow you to release that stress, that the perception that something is missing is creating in you, because you will be able to enlarge your perception to something that is more like an interaction with reality rather than imposing your stressful urgency onto reality. And it's fun, it's very colorful, and it's also bringing in another aspect, which is also part of the wisdom, the mystical wisdom, the original wisdom of the Enneagram, is that these 9 points, these 9 ways of perceiving reality, have a movement in them. You move from one point to another, and wherever you get stuck, that's your Enneagram fixation. But that once you realize where you're fixated, where you're wearing the blinders that the horses wear, and you see only one aspect of reality, once you realize that, you can move to the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and there is an unfoldment that happens which brings great joy, happiness, a feeling of completion, and a feeling of belonging to reality without having to separate yourself and strive for an impossible task. Thank you for listening.